So hi everyone, welcome to the webinar that we're starting from March, which is going to be a series with Curious Cat Company and PopX community. Why we did this is because the last one when we did the first 45-day cat parenting session, I think it went super hit and people were really excited about it and they wanted to break it down from speaker to speaker. So that's what we've done. Every Thursday we would be meeting in with a new speaker who's the cat expert and we'll of course be able to impart the knowledge depending on their expertise. So that's what we would be doing. And our partner here is Curious Cat Company. She's an amazing friend to me, Vinda, who runs the company, as well as does a lot of community work for the cats. And she as a person and me as a person also, we always have the conversation about cat people and dog people. So it's amazing to know more from her about cats and cat people. But of course, she's also done is that we're doing fundraising together, and I'm sure she'll be able to explain better about that. And also, she'll be able to introduce Ajay, who's a very good friend to us. So please, Sunda.
Thanks, Darshan. So I don't know how many of you guys know Curious Cat Company, but it's a niche cat brand for both cats and cat people. And currently, we are doing a fundraiser, especially for this webinar series that we are doing with PopX. And there's a special page that we've created, a special product, proceeds of which will go towards the cat sterilization program that CUPA conducts. And CUPA, from which Ajay is, he's a major part of CUPA. CUPA is a 32-year-old animal welfare NGO that operates out of Bangalore. It has 6 centers across the city. One of their main programs is subsidized cat sterilization, which Ajay himself has launched back in 2018. And so far, over 5,000 community cats have been neutered under this program. And this is done with the help of the community residents. It's not something that just an NGO or activists have made happen, but he has empowered community residents from complexes and apartment buildings to come forward, understand how the process works, get any kind of resources or help from CUPA. And they also recently set up a center in Bangalore where people can come and get their cats neutered at very low prices. So Ajay, I'm handing it over to you. Could you please describe this program in short? And because we have many more questions after that, but describe the program, how it has benefited cats and the power of community, so we can then take it forward to tell people how they can be, responsible animal lovers and be individually responsible for cat sterilizations in their communities.
Thank you, Vinda, for the introduction. And I'd like to start with how we actually conceptualized this program here in Bangalore. And around 6 years ago, when we actually thought about this issue of cat population outburst, we had a lot of people complaining about cats coming into their communities. This problem was mostly faced by gated communities to begin with, and the magnitude of the problem wasn't known back then. And then we started getting complaints from various associations, people, animal lovers, that because the population was going out of control, people were resorting to inhumane measures to get rid of the cats. So some of the measures were poisoning, relocation, and it became an issue, and it became an issue of emotional issue with people living alongside those cats. I would categorize them as animal lovers or cat lovers. And then there was another set of people who were tolerant of these cats, and there was another set of people who just did not want them around. So then we were trying to come up with a solution, because everybody comes up to us and says that, hey, what do we do with this problem? And we wanted to make it a sustainable way of finding a solution and not just a quick fix. So back in 2018, we started in a very small way. We started with doing sterilization procedures community wise. So like a community would come to me and say that, hey, I have 20 cats in my community and they're going out of control. I don't want it to reach 100. How do we uh, address the issue? So we started very small. So we were doing maybe 20, 30 cats every 3, 4 months. So that's like 10 cats every month, or maybe even 5, 6 cats every month, if you take an average. And then we kind of worked with that community. We saw the problems that we also had faced as an organization to organize such a drive, because it was a very new program back then. And the resources were very limited for us as an organization, because unlike dogs, cats are a very different species. Their behavior is different, and approaching them and making sure that the sterilization takes place, keeping in mind the welfare of the animal, and also keeping in mind that the surgeries carried out of are of top quality, so that no cat suffers through the entire process, and it kind of is a seamless process for both cats and the people living alongside them. So that's how we conceptualize the program. So yeah, so that's how I started. That's how we kind of conceptualized and started off with this community cat sterilization program. And today, I have a wait list of 100 cats every week for surgery. And people have we still have issues. We're still learning along the way. People are still learning along the way on how to deal with those issues. But to address such a large problem, I think it's very important to understand that it takes time to find solutions to any problem. And we decided that the best way to go about it is through community only, because unlike the dog sterilizations, where we have a team of people going out and catching all dogs at a certain point in time, then housing the dogs and all of that, uh, it was not possible to run such a program with cats, because number one, where are all these cats? Right? That's the question. They suddenly show up at a certain period of time. They create a nuisance. Uh, they fight for resources, and then they make a lot of noise. They go and pee and poo outside people's houses, on their doormats, on their doors. They mark their territories on their doors, and then the moment the person comes out, the cat's not there anymore. So how do I catch that cat? That's a layman's question. So, so yeah, so these are the things that we will be going through with this webinar, to kind of break down the entire process on how we can together sterilize community cats. And you don't need a cue part to do that. Like, I can tell you, I can give you a model of how you can function and start. And would like different people to start this program in different parts of the country, and make it a sustainable program there. And it doesn't have to be large. It can just be people catering to, say, 100 cats a year. So you're actually starting small. So yeah, so we can get down to the questions, and then rather than me revealing everything right now, we can go step by step, and we can kind of see what questions you have to ask me, and then we can open up the questions to people also attending this webinar.
Okay. Darshan, you want to start with the question?
Yeah, I can. Actually, starting with the question that we actually prompted on the reel, wherein the question that if I sterilize cats, around, will there be no cats left, or are we like harming the community because that's natural way of them reproducing? So yeah, that has been something we covered
By
on
the
today.
way, a lot of people commented on the reel saying, "Hey, you didn't answer the question in the video, so you
Yeah,
must answer that." They were very upset.
yeah, I saw that. So actually, the motive or the goal of sterilization is not only limited to making sure that the population is under control. It's actually it's encapsulated into an entire package, I would say, of welfare aspect, and also health, addressing a health concern, because why are cat populations booming in an urban space? Because we've actually modified the entire urban space in such a way that these populations are abnormally increasing. uh, I would say during our childhood, we didn't see that many cats out there because the situation back then was different. But now when I walk into a gated community, the concept of a gated community itself is pretty new. So those gated communities kind of provide a safe haven for cats, because generally gated communities don't have that many stray dogs walking around. I mean, as much as you find them on the streets. So um, the entire concept is about uh, i- instilling a sense of compassion inside these communities, and also instilling a sense of compassion with people, and also to solve an issue. Because I'm not saying people complain to us saying that these cats are a nuisance. I do not disagree with them. They can become a huge nuisance. But then, how do you provide a platform and a resource to address the issue together? You can't just like come up with a quick fix where you just want to kill off all the cats by lacing poison on their food, which a lot of people resort to. And you cannot just carry out the entire population that's living there and relocate them somewhere else, because that's unsustainable. Because when you actually take a population of animals, cats specifically, and relocate them, there will be neighboring cats living in the neighboring territories that will identify that there's a vacuum here, and then all those cats will move in here and the entire process starts again. So the amount of resources that is needed to relocate these cats or get rid of these cats will increase multifold over a period of time. So why not just control that population and let that population be stable, and and do it in a humane way, right? Because relocation is inhumane. So coming back to the question, if I sterilize all these cats, will all of these cat populations reduce? The answer is no. It's not possible. I mean, if you look at the dog populations in the country, I mean, there are animal birth control programs running all across at least most metro cities. But a lot of animals keep traveling from region to region. Stray dogs keep traveling from the outskirts to the core of the cities. So you can't you can't get rid of the population just by sterilization. It's not possible. But what you can do is you can maintain a balance by doing carrying out sterilizations and ensuring that there's a healthy population of animals living along side by side alongside uh, these communities. And all most of these animals are vaccinated against rabies, and rabies is pretty much prevalent pan India. And when you look at the health of animals living alongside us, healthy animals equals healthy communities, right? So I think it's very important to actually look at it from that lens. Then, oh, if I sterilize all these animals, will they disappear? They're not going to disappear.
Okay, that answers the question.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is the benefit of sterilization to these animals. We know the benefit to humans, and you can touch on that later. And we say that let's sterilize because they are a nuisance to communities. But what people don't understand that it's actually healthier for the cat itself to be sterilized rather than be under the assumption that we are taking away some basic biological right. So could you tell us what those benefits are?
So the benefits of sterilization is I would talk about the human lens first, because when you actually sterilize these cats, we actually provide anti-rabies vaccines to these cats, and also the cats become much calmer. Their innate nature to fight and reproduce and compete for resources kind of reduces, and there's an entire procedure. So once we carry out the sterilization, we encourage communities to set up feeding stations for these cats so that they can monitor the populations. Because what happens is that in all of these communities, uh, groceries are delivered outside these houses. So what happens is these cats go and tear all these grocery packets because they are not being fed. And why aren't they being fed? Because there's not enough food for them to eat out there. And why there's not enough food for them to eat out there? Because there's too many cats. So it's like a circle, and it just doesn't end. So when we try to address these issues, we try to address them in a very holistic way, where the solution is not the problems are going to reduce by 70%. There will be 30% of problems. It's better than the problems not getting rid of all these cats. It's better that in case somebody decides to get rid of all of these cats, the problem will resolve temporarily for like maybe a month. Then you will see new cats coming into the vicinity, and then the problem starts all over again. So what we've seen is that once we've sterilized cats in communities, those populations kind of prevent new cats from coming in, because cats are territorial in nature, and then people are familiar with the same cats, and also those cats are vaccinated, so it's a health benefit for both cats and people. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect from an animal health perspective, I'm not going to get into too many details, but because I'm not a veterinarian, but the overall health of these cats considerably improves, because of this competing with resources and fighting and all, the interspread of diseases between cats is much higher, because every time there are unneutered cats, new cats keep coming into the community. And then if there's a diseased cat in that community, or diseased cat entering that community, that disease is spread to all the other cats. So when you sterilize these sterilized cats don't proliferate further, and then you have a stable population living there. So it kind of benefits. It's a win-win situation for both communities and the cats. And also sterilization reduces like cancers, tumors. Uh, we also run a trauma center for animals. So we see a lot of animals coming in with very strange diseases because they've not been sterilized. And once these animals are sterilized, their stress levels kind of reduce a lot, because they're not that wire that their wire to reproduce is kind of like removed, and they're much calmer in nature, and then the disease spread kind of also reduces eventually. So this is the overall perspective, and I think that's what everybody should know from a broad perspective. And it's very important to ensure that we have healthy animals living alongside us, because in communities or everywhere we have people, old people, young people, children living alongside us, and we want all of them to be healthy, when we are living alongside these cats.
Hey Mohita, you can type in the question on the chat and we'll just ask Ajay. And yeah.
Ajay, so just taking that forward to it, quick question. Which are the priority? Are the male cats to be sterilized first or the female? Like, whom do we focus on as a community?
So I think we shouldn't have a gender bias here. Both genders are equally important for sterilization. And the reason why is that when you have an unsterilized male, you'll have unsterilized females coming in search of these males. So if you have an unsterilized female, you'll have unsterilized males coming in look in search of these females whenever, especially when they're on heat. So it's very important to have both sterilized because males have a certain trait, females have a certain trait, and both these genders and the animal as a whole are territorial. Cats are solitary in nature, but because we've kind of boomed, uh, our cities have boomed, the populations are growing abnormally. So now, if you see that cats have now evolved to kind of live alongside one another, and then you can see like 10, 15, 20 cats like living together in a community. But generally, cats are solitary animals if you look at it from a behavioral aspect.
Right. People who have questions, please put it in the chat box so that we can ask the question to Ajay and it can go faster than allowing all of us to speak. Yeah, Vinda, would you like to ask the next question?
Yeah. So, okay, Ajay, can you describe the exact steps that a community resident can take in order to start the process and actually uh, have identify the cats, trap the cats, and then take them to a subsidized veterinary or NGO? Describe the whole process.
Okay. So I actually have a presentation. Okay. I'll put up the presentation.
It's allowing you to share, right, Ajay?
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can see. I'll just mute everybody else.
Yeah.
Um, you guys will have to unmute yourself again. Ajay, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, yeah. So actually, we've actually broken it down and we have this presentation that that is widely circulated by communities. And what we do is it's a very simple process, and we can get into the details as and when we, progress to the presentation. So we kind of do a survey. So generally how we do a survey is that we categorize cats. So we identify friendly, semi-friendly, and feral cats. So how we do that is that the people that feed these cats are like gold, I would say, because these are the people who know in and out of the that community and how many cats they're feeding, etc. And the moment you start feeding stray animals, you'll have a congregation of animals coming outside your house for food. So in every community, in every area, you have animal feeders, and they know the cats that keep coming. The same cats keep coming every day at a certain point of the day at a particular time to come for that food that this person is giving out. It may be once a day, it may be twice a day. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is to identify how many of these cats are friendly. So how many cats, say I'm living in a community and I'm feeding 10 cats. Out of these 10 cats, how many cats can I pet? How many cats can I touch? How many cats are friendly with me? Uh, there's another category of cats. The cats will come near you, but the cat will not allow you to touch, or the cat will not allow you to interact with them in any way. They'll just come, eat their food, and go. There's a third category of cats where you just have to put the food and go stand 10-15 feet away, or you have to just go inside. That's when the cat will come and eat this food. So these are the categories of cats that uh, need to be kind of surveyed. Okay. And then the planning of the catching. So how do you catch these cats? So how do you catch these cats? The friendly ones. So wait, there are these cases. I'm moving to this. So yeah, this is the friendly, semi-friendly, and feral. So like I explained, so you get these cages of Amazon. All of these cages that you see here, you get them off Amazon. And why we use these cages is because that they have a tray at the bottom, and in case you want to like catch them like 2-3 days in advance, you can house them in these cages and plan for the sterilization. So this, you can catch friendly cats and semi-friendly cats with these cages, because see, if you look at this cat over here that's eating out of this bowl, it's it's wary. The body language is wary. So the cat kind of is like looking at the person and also eating the food. But you, if you go near the cage, the cat's going to run away. But it's tolerating your presence. So, but for friendly cats, you can just like lift them up and put them in these cages, you know. So we'll focus only on friendly and semi-friendly cats. The feral cats, we'll get to it later. And so that's the way we kind of like go for catching all of these cats. And in terms of surgery,
Ajay, if in this itself, if you can include the question that was asked, sorry to interrupt, but because you're showing the presentation, Sakshi is asking that is there a difference between the dog sterilization and the cat sterilization in the way of process of surgery or post-healing process?
yeah, there's a huge difference. At least to me, there's a difference because we actually don't have a post-operative care facility with us, because what we've realized is that that cats actually recover very well when they are taken back to their familiar territory. So even if you keep them in the cage in their familiar territory, they feel a little safer because it's like a known space. But uh, when we actually keep them uh, at the center, or far away from their familiar territory, they undergo extreme stress. And cats, unlike dogs, are very uh, they go through depression. And when they go through depression, they don't eat. They don't. So it kind of like complicates the entire post-operative care
For the
procedure
self-healing to happen,
for
they
the
need
self-healing to
that
happen.
familiar
Because
environment
yeah, yeah.
to be
So,
there.
but whereas with dog sterilizations, I'm not saying that dogs don't go through all of this, but the nature of dogs is very different to the nature of cats. Dogs are used to seeing people everywhere, and they are in the cities, so you can't expect dogs to behave like cats. So both are very different species. So let's just establish that right now. And the other issue that we saw was that spread of diseases. So, like when different people bring in cats for sterilization, most of these are stray cats. They are ownerless cats. So most of these cats will have pre-existing conditions, right? So when they have pre-existing conditions, we are not carrying out blood tests for any of these cats, because number one, we'll have to sedate these cats or
Hmm.
put them into extreme stress to actually draw the blood, because their veins are so small that to identify the vein and to draw the blood is so difficult. So, and it's extremely cost intensive also. So, why would I want to put an animal through so much trauma to get that sterilization done? And also, it's not practically possible to spend so much money on blood test. If you can administer blood test, great, amazing. We always encourage blood tests for before sterilizations. But as a rule of thumb, for dog sterilizations, blood tests are not carried out. Dogs are caught, they're fasted, and then they are operated, and then they are released, because we're doing it on a large scale. So similarly for cats, we kind of like catch them, we fast them, we operate them, and then we send them back to their guardian's house for post-operative care. And how we do post-operative care may differ from other people, other veterinarians. So we do post-operative, we administer long-acting antibiotic injections to these cats, which are specially for cats, so that we don't have to administer oral medication, because cats as animals are extremely fussy. So if you try to put a tablet in that food, that cat's not going to eat that food. Or if you want to force feed a feral cat, it's not going to happen. That cat's not going to swallow that tablet, and nobody's going to be comfortable handling that cat,
Right.
and you'll be scratched. So cats have defense mechanisms on both inside their mouth, and they have their claws also. So it's going to be extremely difficult to. So we're trying to like simplify this process for the people also and the cats also. And so yeah, so we encourage people to take the cats back home for post-operative care. And in the case of us, once the long-acting antibiotic is administered, the cat for male cats, they just need cage rest for 24 hours. So 24 hours means that if I operate the cat today, tomorrow is the tomorrow will be considered as the first 24 hours, because they need to get out of anesthesia. But
Right.
for female cats, the post-operative care is cage rest for 3 days.
Okay.
So cage rest is providing food and water for 3 days. So you don't have to do anything. Get the cat, take them to the veterinarian, and cage rest for 2, 3 days. I mean, that is the procedure that we follow.
So you sterilize both males and females, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. The other question that somebody's asked is on the point of blood test for community cats, isn't it common for community cats to have low counts? I'm not sure low counts on
Yeah.
RBCs.
So I mean, I'm going to interpret this question uh, from whatever I interpret it. So I'm guessing that that question means that there might be an issue with that cat, right?
Right.
So that's the assumption. So that's the assumption that we also take when we are sterilizing community cats, is that there might be a pre-existing condition to all of these cats. But now, whether you want to whether an individual wants to go cat by cat by cat by cat and do it like, you know,
One at a time.
one at a time, or you want to just get all of the cats sterilized within like 3 days, that's completely up to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we don't restrict people in saying that you have to do this, you have to do that. We are just following the guidelines of the Animal Welfare Board of India. So the Welfare Board of India does not mandate blood test for cats because of all the issues that I just
Yeah.
discussed.
Quite intense work sounds like. I mean, I thought it would just be like they'll come, capture, take away, and it's just done, right? But now,
So,
when I'm hearing it in the
so,
explanation, it is
so
quite an intense session. Another question, Ajay, that we have very particularly to Cupa is I think that's Divyani. I work for a feline welfare group and have used the help from Cupa many a times for sterilization. Grateful for that. During those experiences, we have found that CUPA still uses the 12-hour fasting rule, whereas international organizations like ASPCA and I can't read that, as well, research suggests not more than 3 to 4 hours fasting, bracket wet food, is required. Important to prevent GER and specifically hypoglycemia in kittens. Is this something CUPA is exploring to upgrade to stay updated?
so this is a very good question. People come and ask us this question. Okay, firstly, that after the 12-hour fasting that we actually um advise people, when the cats go in for surgery, all of them are administered a drip while the surgery is happening. And the other thing is that I personally have seen cats throw up on the table, uh, cats that have not been fasted for more than 6 hours, they have their contents of their food that they've eaten, they have thrown up on the table, and that is a danger. And it's a danger of suffocation because that food, they are unconscious, and then the food just comes out because of the anesthesia effects. And also, there is no like I am taking word of mouth of the person who's coming and signing that consent form that this cat has been fasted for 12 hours. There has been so many instances of people feeding their cats, feeling sorry for them, and not maintaining that window. So we actually have increased the window a little bit, and there is no, maybe internationally there's a different rule because the technology there and the resources there are very different. We're dealing with mass populations over here. So how do you effectively get all of these animals sterilized, and also ensure that the correct procedures followed? So we increase the window of fasting, so that the person just knows that, okay, if I feed the cat today at 9 o'clock in the night, then the surgery is scheduled for the next day at 9 o'clock or even 10 o'clock. So it's convenience to the person also, uh, who's fasting the cat. Otherwise, if you take that 4 hour or 5 hour rule that was just discussed right now, so you're going to stay awake the whole night and keep doing this, and kind of like have sleepless nights, and also like stress yourself out to actually, like, say the surgery is at 9 o'clock. So technically speaking, you have to wake up like early in the morning at around 3 o'clock to stop food and water. So it kind of like defeats the entire purpose of trying to empower the community to kind of get the cat sterilized. And we have not had any complications. I mean, all the complications that were pointed out right now, we've not had any of those complications. So
Are we, if it's okay to unmute myself,
yeah, yeah.
do we have these rules to be different for adult cats versus kittens? Because these issues become more prevalent in kittens when they are fasting for a long time.
See, once the cats cross 4 months, they are at reproductive age. So they are adult cats, and they are not kittens. So that is a very important
Right.
establishment that we need to
Intelligence
make.
point of view, yes, totally. Like
Yeah,
after uh,
yeah.
they
Yeah, so we do cats only over 4 months old, and mostly people bring cats to us that are above 6 months. That's the comfort level that people have. So we do not say that you have to bring kittens to us. We just say that the cats have to be above this. So it's based on your comfort level. So that's why it's a community empowered program. So the choice of how you want to go about it is completely with you, but the entire procedure from fasting to sterilization to post-operative care, we are there to guide you and provide you with the knowledge and resources. And trapping also, we give out cages. I mean, at least in Bangalore, we give out cages, but in other cities, towards the end of the session, I can tell you how you can get a similar program running, and you can run a successful program. I mean, that's how I started 8 years ago. I started with a small group of people, and we went and we kind of negotiated with nice veterinary clinics that actually did that were good with cats. And we said, hey, I have like 30 cats every month that I want sterilized from you. Will you give me a concession because I'm just doing it for Seva? So there'll be 10 clinics that say, no, I can't do it. But there'll be 1 or 2 clinics that says, hey, you're doing such nice work. I'll accommodate your request. So there are solutions to everything. So coming back to the question that was asked, uh, yeah, so this is the standard operating protocol that we have. And I know that it has been debated in different forums. I mean, I run a forum on Facebook called Fans of Cats. It's something that I started 6, 7 years ago. There are a lot of debates there, but now these are all opinions of individual people of their experiences, and I cannot challenge that. But what I can say is that we're following the highest standards of procedure to ensure that both people and cats are convenienced in this entire process.
Okay. So one important question is that Mohita wanted to know, what are the where if an individual wants to take the initiative, one of the biggest challenges that they face is lack of support from the community residents to convince people to pitch in to contribute to the sterilizations or to even help trap. Are there any and also to in fact stand up to relocation or say that sterilization is the more humane or better approach rather than any of the other approaches? Are there any legal guidelines or resources that an individual or an animal lover can use to fight for this cause and to bring people on board?
Yeah, there are a lot of legal there are a lot of laws that are protecting the rights of animals and feeders, and I think y- y- the recent news of conflict between stray dogs and people, I think everybody has read about that. And I think uh, the fact that if you look at the news and if you look at the comments and if you look at the conversations that are going around, people are much more aware of what the legal rights are today than they were like a few years ago. And and we can actually share a list of laws towards the end of the session, because then the entire legal aspect is a whole different conversation altogether. But yes, there is a whole set of laws that are protecting both animals, community animals, and their caretakers and feeders uh, from such harassment. And there are ways to kind of, and we actually have a legal cell. CUPA has a legal cell uh, where you can take advice. So you can take advice and write into that legal cell and find out uh, what you can do to kind of like address various issues surrounding this particular topic. Because that's why we actually started the legal cell. We started it a month or two ago. And this legal cell is there to address all of these issues, but not like go after people legally, but to at least educate people on the legal front on what can be done, what can't be done. And if you want advice on how you want to take up an issue legally for an animal cruelty and all of that, the legal cell is there to advise you on how to kind of take that forward. So we can share all of these resources towards the end of the chat. And uh, and uh,
I think
uh,
Mohita doesn't really want from the legal perspective. She's trying to understand from a community perspective, wherein how do we pitch these ideas in the society, right? Because it's not that they hate the animals, but they do not know as well that sterilization is an important part of taking care of the community. So I think Mohita is coming from that space where what are the kind of things that we can probably say, or how is it that we approach to the society saying ki, boss, look, we need to get this done for our society cats.
okay. So number one is every society has an RWA. Most communities have RWAs. Most apartments have RWAs, assuming. Those that don't have RWAs, we can deal with it separately. But more, I'm talking from a perspective of the Residents Welfare Association of a building or a community or a whatever. And the first step is to ensure that the RWA is aware of all of these things, right? So you need to get people to understand that these are the things. So then disseminating information from this RWA to all the residents. So then the residents will get to know that, okay, this is allowed, this is not allowed. But if the RWA only doesn't know, then the RWA will be manipulated into siding with the majority, which mostly happens in various communities. And then what happens is then there's a conflict. and then it becomes ugly, then it goes on social media, then it goes on news and all of that. So I think awareness is like the biggest issue over here, and I think that awareness gap needs to be bridged at various levels of your community, and RWAs are legally obligated to follow the law of the land as much as we are as individuals. So if a governing body of any residential welfare association says that these are the rules surrounding cats or dogs or community animal welfare, I think it's going to be much easier to address the larger issue of what different people are facing. I hope that answered your question, because issues can be of various levels. So I can't get into the nitty-gritties of those issues, but this is a way to kind of uh, this is the approach. This is one kind of approach that you can see how you would like to put it across.
I think so. That's a starting point. Arjun really helps me out because this was just the blocker that I had. How to start with it? I think so. It's similar to how any business model works. That when it comes from the leadership, people align with the mindset. I think so. That is the similar approach that we want to take here. I will try it out in my society. Let's see how things turn out.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
so
I
much.
think it's very important to actually like take all of these rules. There are rules on the Animal Welfare Board website. There are rules on the internet. There are rules everything is available on the internet. So you just have to get these rules printed on a piece of paper and say that, hey, that I am sharing all these rules with the RWA, and I am here to support the RWA. So the RWA or the association should not look at you as a threat. So I mean, I'm just talking in terms of the cases that I've seen. People just go there thinking it's their birthright, but it kind of boils down to how you build your relationship with the people that are working there. Because at the end of the day, those are individual people with individual mindsets. The entire RWA may be not comfortable with animals, right? So you
Yeah,
can't change that mindset. But then how do you put across information to a difficult set of people? I think that is something that we should actually think about.
I think I like the
I,
part where Mohita, what he said that instead of looking like it's my birthright and going there as a fight or a challenge, you tell them that this is what I need to do in my society, and I'm here, your point of contact, to help you with whatever you need. I think that way, even if they don't like animals, like he said, at least they know that okay, it's Mohita who's going to be the point of contact, and she's okay with the dogs and she'll take care of the cats, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
that
another
just makes it
and
so.
another thing, and another thing is it has to be reasonable. It has to be reasonable where uh, I'll get into a few details. For example, like feeding the animals. Feed the animals in a place where it's not inconveniencing other people who don't like animals. Right? Have
Hmm.
a feeding station for animals where it's far away from common areas, far away from entrances, far away from places where people don't like animals. You can't do anything about it. But at least like find a middle ground to address the animal lovers and the other people. And also take initiative and leadership, saying that I will see how I can bridge this gap between the management and the people, and have society rules that kind of comply with the rules of the land. Say that these are designated feeding spots. You cannot feed the animals outside this. I can't feed the animals on the staircase. I can't feed the cats outside my front door. So if you have these rules and regulations that are in place that are reasonable in nature, I think everybody will be willing to follow those rules and regulations. And if there's a designated feeding spot, everybody will want to go there and feed. Whoever wants to feed, they'll go there and they'll feed the animal. But if you decide that, oh, this animal is really hungry, I'm just going to feed it outside my door because this animal comes right outside my door and I feel really bad for it. So I want to feed it right here. That is something that is not actually right, according to me.
I totally
Because
align with your point. Maybe I will have multiple follow-up questions. This is like a discussion. It's kind of a Pandora box when we go into it. That's certainly there.
So you can
But
list down your questions in the chat box, and then we'll see if we can send you those the answers to those questions
that
along
would be
with
helpful.
the resources via email.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Arjun. And I've also sent out an email to the legal email ID that Pupa has shared. So
Yeah.
because I wanted to gain like the brief part of it so that I can initiate my pitch with the society
Yeah.
and like maybe start things around. Thank you so much.
Moita, this presentation also we had shared in Team Milo, Team Bushi. You want we'll reshare this presentation that Ajay is sharing.
Yeah, all resources, if you can send out over email, that would be really great because I may have missed some part of it initially and want to really get into
Yeah,
details
yeah.
and
I'll
how
just
I
put
can.
it up on a drive. I think Vinda and
So,
Ajay
and,
can.
and also just to add, this presentation is just a master slide for how you can get sterilizations done anywhere, not just in Cuba, right? And the reason why I created this presentation is so that I don't have to keep explaining over and over via email to people. And now this presentation is being circulated everywhere, and people are actually coming and borrowing cat traps from me to go and do sterilizations in other clinics. And I'm obliging, I'm giving them the liberty to do so because they're actually taking that initiative. They are paying extra amount of money, that's up completely up to them. That's how safe they feel with the other people. Take them to Cessna, people take them to different, that's completely up to them. But what I would like to add here is that when you're doing all of these things, please make sure that the cat's ears are notched, because we have seen so many cats where the ears are not notched, and then they're already sterilized, and then people catch them again and bring them for sterilization, and then we are freaking out, their organs are not being found, and all of that. Why do you want to put that cat through that? People are so against ear knots, but then people are not looking at the larger picture, where that there's a chance of that cat being caught or displaced, for example, like it goes somewhere far away from its familiar territory, and then there's another TNR group over there saying that, hey, there's a new cat over here, I'm going to catch this cat. And this is especially for female cats.
Hmm.
So, so ear notch is a very, very important aspect of sterilization, I feel. And every sterilization drive, I have people begging me, don't do ear notch. Geometric face of that cat is going to be disfigured. I'm just like, it's not we're looking at the larger picture where this cat is not caught again for sterilization because it's a free roaming cat. So I hope that everybody considers ear notch even in a private setting, because it is very, very important.
True. Coming to the end part to the whole point is that what about the other cities? I mean, you're very strong at Bangalore, but what about the other cities like Pune, Bombay, Chennai, these other places?
Just 1 minute. Uh, when it comes to other cities, I would say that uh, there are I think we can actually share a list of places where you can get. In Delhi, I know Friendicos does stray cat sterilizations, and in Bombay there are a few clinics that do stray cat sterilizations, and in various other cities which I'm not aware of, there might be a few good clinics running out of those cities. So you can actually approach those clinics and negotiate a reasonable rate that is affordable to everyone. It may not be as less as how much we are charging, and uh, negotiate a rate and initiate your TNR program, and collaborate with private clinics as well, because there are so many cats and there are so many clinics. So just utilize those resources and see how you can get the best out of everybody, and every veterinarian or every person will want to do some good for stray animals. And
In fact, sorry, continue. I
yeah,
have
go ahead.
the last
Go
thing
ahead.
to add.
Yeah.
No, so I have a list that we had compiled for NGOs and vets that do subsidized sterilizations. I'm just gonna paste that link on the chat. That's it. We just compiled a list of resources that is hosted on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so people ask me how much is sterilization, the cost, the actual cost of sterilization. I think everybody wanted to know that. The cost of sterilization is exactly 1,500 or even more. I can't measure it. I can't measure it, but the cost of sterilizing a cat is between 1,500 to 2,000 rupees, because at least for us, because we use superior quality medicines and we also use long-acting antibiotic shot, that Convenia, and that vial of Convenia costs 15,000 rupees for 10 ml. Okay. So that is administered, and it's a very, very good antibiotic, very effective, and it kind of just prevents the oral administering of all of this. And the administering of this antibiotic depends on the weight of the cat. Now, the heavier the cat, the more expensive it is for me, right? So that is how we kind of work out the cost, and that's why we provide a very, and plus we have as an organization we have an entire administrative section dealing with the entire transactions that are coming in for the surgery and all of that. None of that is covered in that sterilization cost. So the basic bare minimum cost is charged to the public, so that we are able to provide, and the money that comes in, it goes back into people who cannot afford it. Somebody comes to me and says, I have 10 cats, uh, my house help has 10 cats, my security has 10 cats,
Mm.
but they cannot pay for it, and I don't want to pay for it. So we will give them the surgeries for free. So that is why we need to kind of work out a sustainable way of functioning no matter what we do.
Sounds good.
Amazing.
And if everyone's okay to put their camera on, can we please have a group photo? Ajay, can you stop sharing the screen? If that's okay.
Yeah. How do I do that?
I think you have to go down and just click on, I think there is.
Mm-hmm. Wait. Okay, oh yeah, got it.
I will remove the pin so that others can also join in.
I hope I was able to answer everybody's questions though.
There is one more which has asked. She's basically asking from the. Yep. She's asked from. I think Farhana has asked, but I think we've just finished the group photo. Can others also switch on their cameras? Thanks, Divyani. Okay. Others aren't comfortable with that. Can you take a screenshot?
They've left. That's how uncomfortable they are.
No,
Okay,
I'm
I'm just
gonna
gonna take.
I'm also gonna put my email ID here on the chat box, so that whoever wants to write to me directly, they can write to me, and I'll be happy to reach out to everybody.
Okay, I've taken a screenshot.
Thank you. Okay, so I think I'll just say the last question and then we can just wrap it up. Farhana has written, I'm from a small town where we have limited number of vets who perform sterilization procedures. As a result, they charge us rupees 7,000 to 12,000 per procedure. The other options I have is a government facility, but the state of care and cleanliness there is very subpar.
Okay.
I don't know if she's
Um,
Is there a way out? I think that's the question.
yeah.
No, I'm just asking, Falana, do you want to mention the city you are in so that in case if he...
Yeah, we have resources we could suggest.
Yeah.
I also think that it's very important to identify. I mean, even if there are people who charge 7,000, there is where you have to figure out how you want to negotiate with them. And I understand in smaller cities there must be uh, much fewer clinics running out of those cities, and it might be difficult. You won't believe it. I have people bringing in cats from the neighboring state, Andhra Pradesh, for sterilization in our facility. They drive kilometers to get there. Like they bring 10, 15 cats from.
Rourkela, Odisha.
Okay. Uh, I would actually have to do some research. We would all actually have to do some research because we are not aware of the condition and situation of veterinary care in many cities. And we'll be happy to do some research and get back. And it's a good question because this must be a question that many people living in non-metro cities have. And I think it's important to see how we can address those issues. We may not be able to 100% address those issues, but we can see how we can find a solution uh, to these small issues.
Done.
Okay,
Okay,
I
great.
thank you, thank you both for organizing this. I think it was, I think it's important to kind of share information and also to facilitate something like this. And I also think that people should be provided a platform to just ask their questions because we're all so busy with our lives. Sometimes people message me on WhatsApp and all of that. I do get back to everybody, but it takes time. But this is like a nice space where this is specifically for that reason to disseminate information. And I think it's so important to kind of like empower everybody who attended this so that they will have the knowledge and know how to kind of spread that information so that they don't have to come to three of us to figure out a solution. They can be the leader of change, I mean, the beacon of change in their own communities. And that is what the entire goal of this session is.
Yes. Thank you, Ajay. It was really empowering. Ajay, could you just mention your email ID on the chat? I think then people can just send you the questions that they have.
Yeah. It's uh, this is my
Slippy,
email.
I'm not sure if phone number,
This is my
I
email
think
ID.
email ID should be good enough
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, email is great. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's call this a day. Let's end the session. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ajay, so much for giving us your time.
Vinda, thank you so much for being there. And Vinda, please circulate the link about the
I've
donation
already
drive
put
that
it.
was happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
guys, you can shop from the donation, the fundraiser link. It'll part of the proceeds will go to CUPA for the subsidized sterilization program, and it will help people who cannot afford it subsidize their cats.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.